Hey gang, I spammed Techmarine for 22 hours to bring you the best way for a casual player to level. The non-casual answer is to buy the new heroic Omnissian axe and the new heroic heavy bolter with saved up accolades and spam the decap operation on absolute with gene seed pickup on every run if you can. On absolute, you'll go from level 0 to 10 in run 1 and then 10 to 17 or 18 in run 2 and then 23 or 24 in run 3 and then you do the last level on ruthless or lower so you can breathe through with the last bit of XP. So I did this in about 12 hours with some helpful chatters coming in to carry, but if you don't have that, find a Discord, mine is linked below, with a Space Marine 2 looking for a group or LFG channel, and make some friends or just play private with bots, because everyone is trying to level their Techmarine right now, so you will probably not find a public match to play in. If everyone in the group wants to level Techmarine, then just set up a rotation where every mission you rotate who's on Techmarine and who is on the other classes. I recommend pairing Tech with TAC for Auspex and Bulwark for Banner. The other classes are fine, but TAC and Bulwark's class abilities help out the whole team as well as their team perks, whereas Assault, Vanguard, Sniper, and Heavy have more selfish class abilities. When you're playing Techmarine, he is squishy, like Mega Squishmeister Supreme squishy, like sold in Build-A-Bear levels of squish. So you want to parry everything and pretty much have your servo gun class ability on cooldown if there are enemies about, and would recommend leveling on Tyrannid operations like Decap rather than Chaos, as he seems to struggle a bit more with Chaos. For the Omnissian axe, I got used to it pretty fast. The heroic one is fencing, and I recommend you upgrade your axe to stick to fencing or balance for the gun strikes. There's not much point going for block, in my opinion, since you have the servo gun doing all your gun strikes anyway. The combos are pretty simple and feel pretty nice to use in terms of the stagger and the damage too. For my guns, I took the new heroic heavy bolter with the grenade launcher. To be honest, I didn't use the grenade launcher a lot, but it is useful for clearing distant spawns, and that bit in decap at the bridge fight. I started my heavy bolter from 0 and Omnissian axe from 0, but having the heroic versions definitely helped me out because the heroic perk Word of the Omnissiah, the attack after Omnissian rush deals increased damage based on the duration of the rush. This takes a little used to remembering to do the charge, but your heavy attack is your charge, so you just hold melee attack and go. You don't even need to press W. It's the same speed as your sprint, so kind of think of it as your W key when you don't need to dodge or roll forwards. In terms of perks while you're leveling, if you have infinite gold, then yes, buy all your perks after missions. If you're low on gold, then the team perks for Techmarine are 500 gold each, so save up and get those, and then just buy and master the weapons as your priority. Going through the perks as you level, this is assuming Omniaxe is your melee and you're just spamming decab. So when you're level 2, you unlock Explosive Enfilade. After using equipment, your range damage is increased by 15% for 10 seconds. If you don't use a lot of grenades, then I wouldn't waste leveling gold on this. I only bought this once when I got to Prestige 4. At level 3, you get Arc Cleave. Damage from charged melee attacks increased by 20%. If you don't have the heroic Omnissian axe with the perk for Omni Rush, then this is a good temp for that. Just remember to charge a lot. Remember you don't have a heavy attack on Omni Axe, only the charge. At level 4, it is Explosives Adept. Damage from equipment increases by 35%. I never got this while leveling, and I don't use it after leveling either. The first team perk is Reinforced Position. This is a great perk. The update increases the sentry gun spawn rate by 50% and added more spawn spots, so there is more than likely going to be a turret nearby. And the team perks are 500 gold, so I'd only pay for this one once per prestige to save gold and not bother with the other team perks. So this gives all squad members within 15 meters an active Tarantula sentry gun, take 25% less damage and deal 15% more damage. So that's pretty nice. We always love the damage. At level 6, you get Designated Target. Enemies hit by the servo gun take 15% more damage for 10 seconds. I did get this every prestige level that I got. I spammed my servo gun as much as it was up if there were enemies around, so this is really nice to have. We always enjoy the extra damage. At level 7, you get Augmented Ammunition Feed. I also got this every prestige, as ability recharges peak on this class, so you can spam it even more. This just recharges your servo gun 15% faster. At level 8, 8, you have counter-offensive protocols. After using the servo gun, melee damage increases by 35% for 10 seconds. I got this every prestige as well, since I was mainly charging in with my Omnissian axe while activating my servo gun. This is great for horde clear, especially with the big boom combo at the end of your charge. The first signature perk you get to is Decapitating Stratagem. Killing or incapacitating Majoris level or higher enemies with the servo gun regenerates its ability charge by 100%. The cooldown is 90 seconds. This is a really nice signature perk. I did get this every prestige. The gun targeting is also pretty nice, so I do find this really helpful with my servo gun spammage. I do recommend this also as a sort of permanent perk when you do get to prestige 4, but we'll get to that after this. So on the next row, we have level 10, Precision Enhancement. I never got this while leveling. I didn't feel like it helped enough to spam through decap quickly. I was just trying to get through levels with as much destruction as possible, so having a more slow firing servo gun was not super helpful for that. At level 11, we have Methodical Destruction. Enemies damaged by equipment take 25% more damage for 10 seconds. I also did not take this one. Most of the ones in row 2 and 3 I did not take because I just kind of stuck with the ones in row 1 and I did not want to waste the gold since the team perks were so expensive each prestige. Then for level 12 we have Push the Advantage. I got this when I needed a little help on mid prestige. I did a lot of finishes since my servo gun and charges were putting everything in execution for me to go and grab, so this was a really nice one. We always love the extra damage. After a finisher, your melee weapons deal 20% more damage for 15 seconds. Very nice. The next team perk that you can unlock is Battlefield Repairs. As these are 500 each, I didn't buy anything but the first one while leveling. This one is kind of redundant as everyone regains their armor from gun strikes or executes anyway, and I didn't really see the point of it. And most of the classes have some sort of armor regen as well in their perks that people most often take in most meta builds as well. Next is level 14, Inexorable Salvo. While the servo gun is active, you do not lose control upon taking heavy hits and cannot be knocked back. I got this one almost every prestige level since you can use your servo gun to skip the green circles on the Hive Tyrant boss at the end of decap. You will still take the damage if you miss the dodge, but you won't get knocked back, so you can reposition yourself for the next circle to dodge. Level 15 is Augmented Tarantula. I got this a couple of times while leveling. The turrets are really nice by themselves, and this just gives them an extra little boost and makes them last a bit longer. They are mostly in really nice locations as well, so I do really like this perk. Level 16 is Fortifying Salvo. This will keep you at max armor, as killing or incapacitating an enemy will restore that armor segment, so if you're doing that and gun striking everything, you will get maximum armor at all times. This is a massive help for leveling in harder difficulties, as you won't die as fast. The second signature perk is Lethal Perimeter at level 17. I didn't take this while leveling. It felt a bit too restrictive as I was running around a lot. It marks a zone and automatically attacks enemies that enter it with the servo gun, using 50% less energy per shot. It's really nice for keeping the ammo up on the servo gun, the recharge on it, so you can turn it off and turn it on and keep more of that in stock. But I just felt that marking the zone and staying around the zone wasn't super helpful to how I was playing this class. And then on the last row, I would only get perks on this row if I was struggling that last little bit to level 25, but otherwise I wouldn't buy perks this high up just because you're so close to that prestige reset. So at level 18 is Plasma Enhancement. The servo gun now fires exploding plasma projectiles at enemies. This was really nice in PTS. I think I used this the most out of all of the perks in PTS. It's a really good one. We love the fire, but I kind of just preferred the regular default bolter for the servo gun just because it could clear waves and spawns really, really fast, and the fire is more of a dot, so you do have to kind of wait for it a little bit for things to die from it. At level 19 is Omnissian Axe Deflection. This is very helpful for staying alive, but only if you absolutely need it. After a perfect parry or perfect block, you take 25% less damage from range attack for 10 seconds. Because this is level 19, you are almost at the prestige reset, so if you really are struggling, you can get this. This is really nice to have just because of that decreased range attack damage from those annoying Tyrannid snipers that just get you all the time. Then at level 20, we have Long Range Barrage. I never took this. Range damage at ranges greater than 20 meters increased by 25%. I was mostly running in as melee, so I didn't do enough shooting that I felt that this was a good perk for me. It's also level 20, so I didn't want to waste money on it. The last team perk is Combat Squad Resupply. All squad members gain 1 additional equipment except melter bombs. This is the level 21 perk. I've never took this, and it doesn't include melter, and if you're using the Omniax, then your Omnissian strike essentially does what a shot grenade does, so I don't really see the point in getting this, especially because it doesn't regen melter bombs. Level 22, we have Synergistic Arsenal. The servo gun recharge rate increases by 25% when you're near a tarantula sentry gun. I never took this. I never really got swarmed enough that I wanted this, but if you do feel like you are getting mobbed by a lot of little guys, then maybe it's a good idea to take this. But again, it's at level 22. You're almost at the reset, so just grin and bear it. At level 23, we have Replenishing Salvo. This is not worth it before Prestige reset. If you like using equipment, then maybe it is, but again, you will only be playing like 1 mission with this perk before the Prestige reset, so I don't really see the point in taking it. Level 24, you have Strategic Gunstrike. This is also not worth it before the Prestige reset. Servo Gun only targets Majoris levels or higher enemies and deals 20% more damage when the target is more than 20 meters away. This is only not worth taking because it's level 24. You will only play this for 1 mission, or you will skip this level entirely to get to Prestige. Same with the last signature perk at level 25, Omnissia's Fury. It is a nice perk. The servo gunshots set enemies on fire. This is really nice, especially if you don't take the plasma enhancement. But again, it's level 25, so if you have this available, then just Prestige. And then moving on to the prestiges, my first prestige perk that I recommend you get is Indomitable. You become invulnerable to damage while activating Tarantula sentry guns. This is absolute peak. When you are bending down and activating the turret, you are in so much danger. You can be stunned out of it, you can be knocked out of it, you can be hit, you can be attacked by literally everything. So having this perk, I think, is the one to get as the first one, just because you get that invuln. And then if you are low health, you can run to a turret, activate the turret, and get the invuln, and hopefully the gun will kill whatever is chasing you, or at least slow it down before you can, like, reset yourself to get that parry. So when I was doing leveling in my runs, I was essentially charging between turrets through the operations and then just babysitting them until I moved on, or just like panic sprinting towards them, yelling invuln at them while I was being chased by a bunch of Raveners or something. It's a very good perk. The second, I got Furious Gunstrike. After using Gunstrike, melee damage increases by 25% for 5 seconds. With the amount that you will be servo gun gunstriking, this is a no-brainer pick for second as long as you're doing melee. I wouldn't pick this first just because I would want to have that invuln from the turrets, from activating the turrets, but this one is a beautiful second one, and it's great. You just have to do melee damage for that 5 seconds, which you probably are anyway, especially if you're taking the Omnissian axe, because you will be charging around into things. For the third prestige, I got Defensive Stance. If you are surrounded by 5 or more enemies, you take 20% less damage from ranged attack. As I played this a lot in melee, you will be near a lot of enemies at a time, so compared to other prestige perks, this seems the most logical to get. Nid snipers still suck, but this helps for the termagants with the gun, and it does stack quite well with that Omnissian axe deflection, taking less damage from range attack after a perfect parry as well. At max prestige, I did take chained headshots. Headshot damage increases by 3% per consecutive headshot up to a maximum of 15%. The bonus lasts 5 seconds without landing a headshot. As long as you can aim, then this is pretty OP, and the 5-second uptime is pretty nice. It can only stack 5 times for that 15% max, but I think that's pretty decent as you'll be interrupted for melee eventually, and the increased damage is only on headshot damage. Otherwise, you can take blast radius. I think this is slightly more useful in leveling the final bit in P4 to level 25 in decap, but otherwise the last one is down to you or your preference. You could take the stim boost. The Medicae stims restore 40% more health. This is fine, but with the new red stim pack, the one that gives you contested HP that you can get back over time, I don't think there's much need for this. And with Volatile Sentry, Tarantula Sentry Gun explosion damage increases to 1000% and the explosion radius increases to 20%. I saw saw my turret explode twice in the whole 12 hours of leveling, plus the 8 odd hours that I stayed on after that. So I really think that, same as in the PTS, I don't really see when this would be useful. Especially if you have the team perk that all squad members within 15 meters of an active tarantula sentry gun in reinforced position. If the explosion does friendly fire, like a grenade, then you kind of don't want this. I mean, you could use one of the other team perks, but the other ones are kind of mid as well. So yeah, I would go with Indomitable, I would go with Furious Gunstrike, Defensive Stance, and Chained Headshots. So going through my final build at max from left to right, this was after I had max and I went through all of the perks and I kind of did some little test missions to see what I liked, what I didn't like. So with my playstyle, I prefer a very kind of fast and parry friendly, dodgy everywhere, little guy running around build. So on the first column, I got the Explosive Enfilade. I found the default servo gun really nice to spam, so I did prefer this perk in comparison to the Precision Enhancement or the Plasma Enhancement. If you did want to take one of these, then Plasma is probably the second choice, followed by Precision being my last choice. On the second column, I picked Omnissian Axe Deflection. The amount you should be parrying with this fencing axe, this is great. The amount that you should be parrying with this fencing Omni Axe, this is a great perk that stacks really nicely with that third prestige, like I said. On the second column, Omnissian Axe Deflection, with the amount that you should be parrying with this Omnissian fencing axe, this is a great perk that stacks really nicely with that third prestige Defensive Stance. So as long as you're in group or parrying, you have a ranged damage buffer. On the third column, I took Push the Advantage. Again, like Omnissian Axe Deflection, with the perfect parries come execution, so taking this is just free bonus damage on your melee. For the team perk, I only really like this one, the Reinforced Position, so I kept this as my team perk as the increased spawn rate and spawn locations of the sentry turrets is generally pretty good to kind of use as a base when you're stuck in an area for a long amount of time. For the gear perks, you can take your pick really, but there are two main builds that I'm kind of leaning towards here. So the first one is Designated Target and Augmented Ammunition Feed and Fortifying Salvo, along with the Decapitating Stratagem. These will basically make your servo gun a perma unit that will spit damage and recharge really fast. The second option is just taking the entirety of the second row, Inexplorable Salvo, Augmented Tarantula, and Fortifying Salvo, and then the Decapitating Stratagem again. This is a lot of defense, which helps with the squishiness of the Techmarine. You get the anti-knockback from heavy hits, and the increased sentry damage and uptime, and the armor restore on kills and incaps from the servo gun. So basically anything your servo gun does will give you armor, and then the recharge from the Majoris incaps on the ability charge. If you don't want Fortify, then I also enjoy counter-offensive protocols for that extra melee damage on your axe. On the signatures, the other good one is the Omnissiah's Fury. This is pretty nice, especially if you don't take that plasma enhancement on the first column, so you can still get that fire dot on your servo gun shots. So going to the weapons. For weapon perks, I mainlined getting these rather than buying perks. The Heavy Bolter is great. I just did a damage boost line with some armor and health regen thrown in. For the pistol, you can take what you want. I didn't really use my pistol a lot apart from gun strikes when my servo gun was otherwise active. So you can take whatever. I just took my heavy bolt pistol. I don't have the heroic for it yet. None of the pistols have things like ammo regen on primary, so unless you want the HP perks, then this doesn't really matter what your loadout is. Then for the Omnissian Axe, I went full damage rather than the electric discharge, but that's just my preference. I found this good damage along with the perks I ended up with, especially as a lot of them give boosted melee damage. So I started with Perpetual Strength, melee damage increased by 5%, over to Armor Siphon, killing a foe with Omnissian Strike restores 1 armor segment, the cooldown is 60 seconds. Omnissian Strike is one of the combos you can do when you're charging. It's a really nice chunk of damage, and again, you get the restore of the armor segment, so now we have 4 things restoring armor for us. Then we have Perpetual Strength, another melee damage increased by 5%, and Static Charge, each foe hit during Omnissian Rush increases damage of 10% within 4 seconds. So Omnissian Rush is your charge ability when you hold right click, so the more people in the pack that you charge, the more damage you will do. Iron Rush is the incoming range damage is reduced by 50% while using Omnissian Rush attack. So when you're standing in a pack, you have the perks to decrease the range damage you are taking or decrease the range damage you are taking when you're parrying something. But with this on your Omnissian Axe as well, you get another range damage decrease of 50% while you are doing that charge. Then we have Armored Strength. If you have armor remaining, melee damage is increased by 10%. You will always have armor remaining. We have like 4 or 5 perks giving us armor at this point. Perpetual Strength, another melee damage increase 5%, and then Rampage. If Omnissian Rush hits 5 or more foes, the damage of all melee attacks is increased by 20% for 10 seconds. Again, if we're charging into a group, then this is perfect, and if we are charging into a group, then if we run out of the Iron Rush protection, then we're into the class perk protection instead. Next, we have Restorative Takedown. Killing a Majoris level or higher foe with Sweeping Whirl restores 1 armor segment if HP is lower than 30%. Sweeping Whirl is a great thing for this weapon. I love doing it. It looks amazing. It makes you feel like a little ballerina, and it's just a really nice cleave. So again, more armor. We just want armor. He's so squishy. We just want all of the armor regen that we can get, especially if your health is below 30%. This is really helpful. And then I took Explosive Strike. Omnissian Strike damage increased by 40%. On hit, it creates a small energy explosion around the target, cooldown 15 seconds. So this is after your Omnissian Rush, you do a big strike, and this just gives it a massive damage boost of 40%, and it gives that explosion, which, as far as I'm aware, it kind of acts like a shock grenade. I might be wrong. It might just be because the effect looks like a shock grenade, so I just assume that it is and placebo myself. But I really like this one. I think this is a really good perk to take. And then the heroic perk that comes with the heroic Omnissian Axe is Word of the Omnissiah. The attack after Omnissian Rush deals increased damage based on the duration of the rush. So this is what I mean by just charging between turrets. You don't want to sprint between things. Just charge. Just hold right click. You don't need to press W unless you're dodging things. You just need to charge everywhere and you will get this increased damage, and it's amazing. So this took me about 12 hours to get fully maxed out with failed missions and the odd not decap operation. I really like this class. It's really fun to play, but it is squishy. Once you get used to the parrying and the servo spam, the weapon charges, and looking for turrets, he really is a great class in my opinion. If you prefer other weapons in PTS, I mained Power Axe on him and I really enjoyed it because of the speed. I did stick to the fencing Power Axe. I did stick to the block Power Axe in PTS, but I think the fencing would be better just because then you'd get all those extra gun strikes. There is also a new heroic combat knife that can turn ripostes into gun strikes and halt the enemy's attacking combo. This does shorten the window that you can parry, but this does cause the parry to deal damage, which can put it into a gun strike and halt the enemy's attack combo. This is really nice. It's kind of like a hidden sleeper perk, because by reading it, Scathing Retort, the riposte window is shorter, but each riposte deals damage. You don't really get that from this. You don't really read into it, but when you think about it, if you do that damage from that parry, you will get a gun strike from it when you wouldn't otherwise get a gun strike from that riposte because it's not a full parry, and you will halt the enemy's attack combo with that. I don't have this, I can't afford it right now, but I will be trying it. But yeah, let me know how you get on. I'm very much not a sweaty player, but I did really enjoy this Techmarine spam knight. I've heard and seen a lot of people not liking him, but like all classes, there will be some classes or weapons that you just don't get on with playstyle wise. He's very fast glass cannon almost and requires a lot of attention, at least when getting the muscle memory locked in. If you need help leveling or want to come ask questions, I will be streaming live here on Twitch and I will be streaming live here on YouTube and on Twitch. The links are in the description below as usual. I will be swapping between Techmarine Solo and my Assault and TAC to carry chat through Techmarine. Subscribe if you want more like this, or if you enjoy painting and hobby content. Like, comment, and see ya!